Hey hobbyists, and welcome back for another episode. Today we're going to give you 5 tips for a successful reef tank. That way we can get you started off on the right foot. Let's go. Tip number 5, keeping the lights off. It's easy to fall victim to flipping the lights on early, but the fish don't need the light and often acclimate better without it. Instead, sit back and enjoy your new fish with the lights off while the microscopic warfare takes place for the first 2 months. 2 months seems like a long time now, but it will save you a ton of headache down the road. It's also worth noting that high output reef tank lighting is not required until you add corals, and only makes algae or cyanobacteria growth worse during the cycle. Patience pays off big time in this hobby. Embrace it now or forever be in regret. Tip number 4, place your tank in a public area. If your tank is placed in a heavily trafficked area, you are more likely to check on it and notice problems in the early phases. Tanks placed in isolated offices or spare bedrooms are usually visited less frequently. My tank is placed in our living room. That way I can show it off to my guests who have actually pointed out things from me. So really, you're getting an extra set of eyes for free of charge. I have to admit that the glow of the blue AI Prime HD is easy bait for my reef junkie viewing eyes and has caught me off guard from time to time.
No! Hurry, no! Don't look at the light! I can't help it. It's so beautiful.
Tip number 3, consistent water testing habits. Many people post on Facebook groups asking for help with their tank, but often exclude water parameters. Step 1 to solving a problem is identifying there is one. A basic saltwater test kit should include pH, nitrite, nitrate, and ammonia tests. A good reef aquarium water test kit will also include alkalinity and calcium. A phosphate test kit, which measures available nutrients for nuisance algae, is also a good idea. I use the API test kits with the exception of my Hanna nitrate and copper tester, which I got for more precise measurements. Many people love the Red Sea and Saltwater kits as well. Tip number 2, keep the glass clean. It's crazy how many tanks I've seen where there is hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars poured into this tank, yet the owner lets the glass get filthy. You can't even enjoy its beauty. Let's face it, every reefer has slacked on this from time to time, but there are so many options out there, we really don't have an excuse. I use the flipper, however, I only use the scraper end as the scrubber end can get sand wedged inside and cause scratches on your tank over time. Tip number 1, consistent water changes. Water changes are a very important way of keeping your tank clean and healthy for both fish and coral alike. There is some conflicting evidence out there about whether water changes are required. However, from my research, it's often because the ones who nix the water changes altogether have instead resorted to more expensive equipment that has effectively kept the water clean. These also typically invest in auto-dosing systems which supplement trace elements, including calcium and more. Water changes are also considered one of the most effective ways to reduce and prevent algae growth. Why? Because it removes existing growth and helps maintain optimum nutrients levels for healthy inhabitants without promoting algae blooms. Water changes are also an effective way at replacing trace elements, although this typically only has a great impact on 75 gallons or less. Finally, it's worth noting that water changes frequency is based on tank characteristics. For example, a crowded flourishing tank requires more frequent changes than a less crowded tank. Ultimately, your ideal routine is an individual decision, but it's typically between 15 and 20% once a week. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, you have a fantastic day and happy reefing.